policy aide Yuri Ushakov and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. And DD India correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh joins us live. Hello Shubhendu, it was a much anticipated meeting between the two nuclear superpowers. Finally, and it took place in Alaska. So do you think that the meeting achieved its objectives?
Good morning, Akshay. Well, in the words of President Donald Trump, he said, "No deal till there is a deal." So the conventional objectives, the larger question of ending the Ukraine war, at least a ceasefire, achieving a ceasefire in the ongoing conflict, those objectives, whether or not they were achieved, there was no clarity on that. There is a clarity but in the kind of progress that has been visibly made in the U.S. Russia relations. There was visible thaw. There's a red carpet welcome that was extended to the visiting president of Russia, President Putin. The couple of warm handshakes followed by a limousine ride. Both the presidents rode together to the summit site. So those were important signals of the kind of relations that President Donald Trump was looking to make with President Putin. And this was dramatically different from the kind of meeting he had with President Zelensky when they first met at the White House during the ongoing conflict. President Putin, when he spoke about the two-thirds of the time of the total press conference. Most of it was taken by President Putin. He spoke about the relations between U.S. and Russia that have touched the rock bottom and need to revive them. He was full of praises for President Trump. He reiterated what President Trump often says, that he was the president in 2022. This war wouldn't have started. He also acknowledged what he said sincere attempts by President Trump to bring an end to the conflict. President Putin reiterated his concerns about the core reasons for this conflict. He had mentioned earlier about Ukraine's NATO membership and its own security concerns. Trump, on its part, said that there were several issues discussed and several issues remain to be taken forward. We haven't got there, President Trump says, but good chance of getting there. So these important signals that there is a great degree of bonhomie that was definitely achieved between the two leaders. But on the Ukraine question, a lot remains to be learned from what happened in the meeting.
Absolutely, Shubhendu. A lot of symbolism between the two former Cold War rivals. And we saw how when Mr. Putin landed, there were a fly past of B-2 bombers along with fifth-generation fighters. So that may also be another symbolism coming in from the US. However, now all eyes will be on the second meeting, Shubhendu. So how do you think the European Union and Ukraine will respond, to the kind of warmth that we saw in Alaska today?
Right, that was an interesting point where towards the end of towards press statements, President Putin said that perhaps the next meeting could take place in Moscow. And to that, President Trump said that perhaps it could happen. Now, before that meeting happens, there are some important conversations that have to take place. President Trump did mention that he's going to update his European partners, the Ukraine president, about what happened in these meetings, the details of which were not revealed to the media. He will update them about what was achieved and what was not, what were the points of negotiations. So once that happens, once we get to learn more about what were the specifics of the points discussed, agreed or not agreed between the two leaders, it would be interesting to see then the direction of the second meeting as and when that takes place. Could it happen in Moscow, Russia? Perhaps that would be historic for the US president to travel all the way to Russia, Moscow, for that meeting. But what is important, the key takeaway from this meeting would be the manner in which President Putin appears to be welcomed back into the diplomatic fold as far as the United States is concerned. Alongside Ukraine, what was also talked about, the direct relations between US and Russia and the need to mend it, which both leaders spoke about. There was also a business delegation, remember, which engaged alongside the conversation between the leaders. So all in all, both leaders would want the world to believe it was a positive meeting, not achieving the aims which were difficult to achieve in a single meeting, but there seems to be a positive direction to at least US-Russia engagement as of now.
Well, that's great news, especially for the world peace. So now let's, thank you so much, Shubhendu, for that rounded perspective. Now let's listen in to what the Russian leader said in a joint press conference with Trump.
Our negotiations took place in a constructive and mutually respectful atmosphere. They were very thorough and fruitful.